Hi everyone. So this is the first video of 3 that I'm going to make for your test review for your Unit 2 test. The first part is on domain and range, the second video will be on slope, rate of change, and the third video will be on graphing linear functions. So let's go ahead and look at the first section in this video, which is domain and range. Okay. If you have a problem like number 1, this was considered to be like a drop down. So you have 2 blanks, and when you select the drop down, you select the correct answer. The best thing you can do is first read what it's asking for. In this case, it's asking for range, which, if you forget, it helps me to remember the abbreviation for doctor is DR, XY, like in alphabetical order, X, Y, Z, right? So domain are the X's, and range are the Y's. So in this case, we're talking about the Y values. Now on the test, you will not have a paper copy of the test. It will be online and you'll have scratch paper. So keep that in mind that you won't be able to draw on these pictures like you can if it was on paper, okay? So if I'm only looking at the Y's, I'm looking for my lowest Y value, which is -4. And my highest Y value, which is 2. Now, it really helps with these problems to write your answer as an inequality first before you select what the correct answers are from the drop-down menus as words. So when we're writing our inequality, Y goes in the center, and then it's always from least to greatest. So the lowest Y value is -4. Notice I highlighted it on the y-axis so you could see like the lowest was -4 and the highest the graph goes is 2. Now at -4 you can see that there is an open dot. Okay, so that means that all our y values are greater than -4. Now I know that looks like a less than symbol, and it is, but if you're reading it starting with the y, instead of starting with the -4, it actually reads y is greater than -4. And think about it, -4 is our lowest. So any of these highlighted numbers are all greater than -4. But they are all less than or equal to 2, because 2 is the largest. So let's read what that is. Looking at our answer choices, all our y's are greater than or equal to -4. Sorry, not greater than or equal to, sorry, it's an open dot. Greater than -4. And then our y's, our maximum was 2, remember? So all of our y values are all less than or equal to 2. So those were the correct answers. Keeping in mind that things like 3 should never have been anywhere in there, because we only had 2 numbers we were dealing with, our lowest and our highest. Okay? And -2 also shouldn't be on there. So we had very little options. We really just had to remember what does an open circle look like, what symbol, and what does a closed circle look like. All right, and remember guys, you can always go back and look at your domain and range notes. I believe your notes, I'll put it here at the top. If you're looking at your notes to study for this, it would be your notes 2.3. Okay. Notes 2.3 would be the ones that you would look at to study for domain and range. All right, let's go ahead and look at number 2. So this one gives you the domain and range and is asking which of these graphs match that. So if you don't know the difference between a less than and greater than sign, you're going to have an issue here. So the first one is that my domain is less than -4. My x's are less than. Remember, if it's an L that has been squished, it is a less than symbol. Okay, so I'm going to write that out. Our x's are less than -4. So looking at these, look at those dots on each of them. It is at -4, but notice that it's going to the right. When we're talking about x's, we're talking about right to left. If it's going right, our numbers are all getting bigger. So I can go ahead and eliminate A as an answer choice. because all of the x's that are on this yellow line are all bigger than -4, and we want less than -4. So we want a graph that goes to the left, not to the right. So we can also eliminate D, because you can see D is also going to the right, even though it also starts at -4. It's going to the right. So A and D are out. Now let's look at our y's. Our y's have to be greater than 5. So y's are greater than 5. So thinking about y's are up and down. So when we're looking at these graphs, we want to see, do they start at 5? You can see this one does indeed start at 5. And so does this one. But one of them goes up and one of them goes down. And so in this first one, B, all of our y values are larger than 5 because it's going up, whereas in C, it would be less than 5 because it's going down. So since we want greater than 5, we do not want C. B is the correct answer. So think about problems like this, and the best way to handle them is looking to see whether they go left or right. Numbers get smaller going left, they get bigger going right, and up and down. Numbers 3 and 4 are the last two questions on the review on domain and range. So looking at number 3, it is a real-world problem, but they do give you a function. Haley and Lyric are going to Wurstfest this weekend. The entry fee for the festival is $20, and tickets for rides cost 75 cents each. So you can see the equation here. They pay that $20 only one time to get in, but 75 cents for each ride. X is the number of rides, and Y would be the total cost. So what is the range for this situation? It's important that you read, that you know that it's range, okay? And they do not want to ride more than 6 rides. So we're going to make a table. Remembering that in this equation, it tells you what the X stands for, okay? The X stands for the number of rides, and then the Y is the total cost that you're spending. So if they go on 0 rides, they still have to pay that $20 fee. So I'm going to use the equation now. Y equals 0.75 times 0 rides. 75 cents times 0 is 0, but you still have to pay the $20 entry fee. So when I type that in my calculator, I'm going to get $20. They still have to pay $20 to get in. Now what if there was 1 ride? So same thing, put a 1 in place of the X. 75 cents for 1 ride plus the $25, so it's $20.75. And we would go all the way up to 6 because they don't want to go on more than 6 rides. So take a moment, pause the video, fill in the table by solving each of these, plugging in 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, you can see my answer right there in red. I listed all of the Y's, which are all the costs. If it had asked for the domain, I would have listed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the real world, we list things because we don't have part of a ride. You pay for a whole ride or 2 whole rides or 3 whole rides, but you'll never pay for 1.5 rides. So we would not say between 0 and 6. We would list them, and therefore we would list all of the costs of 1 ride, 2 rides, 3 rides, 4 rides, etc. Last question for domain and range is this problem where you're asked to find the domain and range of a graph that has endpoints. So our domain, we'll do that one first. Domain, remember, are the x's. So I'm going to put an x in the middle. And you can see my smallest x value is -6, and my biggest x value is 0. So from -6 to 0 are my x's. -6 has a closed dot, so it has the equal to bar underneath it. and 0 has an open dot. So all of my values are between -6 and 0. Now our range are the y's. So I'm going to go ahead and erase these off of here. My lowest y value is right here at -3, and my biggest is at -1. So it doesn't really go very high at all. So the lowest is -3 and the highest is -1. Remember, it's always least to greatest. Now -3 has an open circle, so it's going to be less than, whereas -1 has a closed circle, so it's less than or equal to. So there is our domain and range of that graph. Okay, so this is the first video of 3, remember guys, and make sure to watch all of them if you want to go through the entire review. Okay, good luck.